Every day, life throws 100 little things at us: emails, traffic, comments, situations we didn't ask for. And somehow we let them stick. We let them eat at our calm, tangle our thoughts, and steal our peace. But here's the truth: none of it has to. None of it deserves to. You have more control than you realize, and the first step is learning to let go, to stop giving power to what doesn't matter. It's not about ignoring problems or pretending life is perfect. It's about recognizing what is worth your energy and what is not. Every time you react to something small, you trade a piece of your calm for something fleeting. Imagine how much stronger, sharper, and freer you could be if you simply decided some things aren't worth the fight. That choice is yours, and it begins in this very moment. Today, we're going to explore exactly how to stop letting things bother you, how to spot the triggers, how to retrain your reactions, and how to hold on to your peace even when the world insists on chaos. Because the sooner you stop feeding the small irritations, the sooner you reclaim the life you deserve, focused, calm, and unstoppable. Life has a way of throwing countless distractions, annoyances, and seemingly important problems at us every single day. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded with messages, alerts, responsibilities, social expectations, and demands that often feel urgent but in reality are trivial. The challenge that most people face is the inability to distinguish between what truly matters and what doesn't. We let ourselves get pulled into every small irritation, every negative comment, and every minor setback, giving them power over our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Recognizing what truly matters begins with self-awareness, a deep understanding of your values, priorities, and goals. When you know what is essential in your life, what aligns with your purpose and vision, everything else starts to fade in significance. You begin to see that most of the things that trigger stress, anger, or frustration are actually distractions, unworthy of the mental and emotional energy we so freely give them. It is not an exaggeration to say that life is too short to spend even a single day letting unimportant matters dictate your mood or decisions. The first step in recognizing what truly matters is observation. You need to actively notice what triggers your negative emotions. Is it a colleague's careless comment, traffic, social media, or a friend's opinion? Once identified, examine why it bothers you. Often, the things that irritate us are reflections of deeper insecurities or unrealistic expectations we hold. By questioning why something affects you, you can start separating its actual significance from the imagined weight you've placed on it. Understanding this distinction is critical because it is easy to assign importance to things simply because society, family, or peers have conditioned us to believe they matter. Many people spend years worrying about appearances, status, or the judgments of others, only to realize later that those things held no real value in their happiness or growth. Recognizing what truly matters is a process of peeling away layers of conditioned thinking and societal pressure to reveal your own authentic priorities. Another essential aspect of this keynote is the acknowledgement that not everything requires a reaction. Once you identify what is truly important, you can assess the rest with clarity. If a situation, comment, or event does not align with your core values or long-term goals, it doesn't deserve your attention or emotional energy. Most people fall into the trap of reacting to every inconvenience or criticism because they feel obligated to, or they seek validation, or they fear missing out. This constant reactivity not only drains energy but also clouds judgment. Choosing when to engage and when to let things slide is a skill that can be developed over time, and it starts with the ability to recognize what genuinely matters. Prioritization plays a key role in this process. When you understand what is essential in your life, it becomes easier to filter out distractions. Just like a gardener prunes unnecessary branches to help a tree grow stronger, you must prune irrelevant worries and petty irritations to cultivate inner peace and focus. This does not mean becoming indifferent or apathetic. It means being intentional about where your time, attention, and energy go. Every day, countless opportunities present themselves and countless minor annoyances try to pull you away from your path. By clearly defining what matters, you create a mental framework that guides your decisions and reactions. This framework acts as a filter, automatically allowing only what is significant to occupy your thoughts and actions, while letting the rest fade into the background. It's also important to understand that recognizing what truly matters is a dynamic process. Life changes, circumstances shift, and what seems urgent today may be irrelevant tomorrow. This requires flexibility and continuous reflection. Regularly assessing your priorities ensures that your energy is always aligned with your current goals and values. Reflection can take many forms: journaling, meditation, or simply taking quiet moments to evaluate your reactions and choices. By consistently checking in with yourself, you can catch the moments when you are giving undue attention to things that don't deserve it and recalibrate your focus toward what truly matters. Emotional intelligence plays a vital role in this keynote as well. People with high emotional intelligence have the ability to manage their reactions and stay grounded, even when faced with provocations or setbacks. Recognizing what truly matters allows you to develop this skill because you start viewing situations through a lens of significance rather than impulse. Instead of being controlled by fleeting emotions, you act with intention, guided by a clear understanding of what is worthy of your attention. This approach minimizes regret, reduces stress, and strengthens your resilience. When you are emotionally intelligent and aware of what matters, you no longer waste mental energy on distractions, and your responses become measured, calm, and purposeful. Furthermore, recognizing what truly matters impacts relationships and social interactions. Many conflicts arise from misunderstandings or overreactions to trivial matters. When you are clear about your priorities, you are less likely to engage in unnecessary arguments, drama, or disputes that do not serve your life's purpose. Instead, you approach interactions with discernment, investing energy in relationships, discussions, and actions that are meaningful. This creates a ripple effect as others begin to respect your calm and intentional approach, and you cultivate an environment where focus and authenticity are valued over chaos and reaction. Practical strategies can reinforce this habit. One is creating a mental or written list of your top priorities and referring to it when faced with challenges or irritations. Another is taking a pause before reacting, giving yourself space to assess whether the situation deserves your energy. Mindfulness practices, such as deep breathing or meditation, help create this space and build the habit of conscious recognition. Over time, these practices strengthen your ability to filter what matters from what doesn't, allowing you to approach life with clarity, confidence, and calmness. Ultimately, recognizing what truly matters is about reclaiming control over your life. It is a conscious decision to stop being a passive participant in a world that constantly demands your attention for trivial reasons. By identifying and focusing on what aligns with your values, goals, and purpose, you free yourself from unnecessary stress, emotional turbulence, and wasted energy. This recognition is the foundation for personal growth, resilience, and fulfillment, allowing you to live intentionally, prioritize effectively, and respond to life from a place of strength and clarity rather than reaction and distraction. Retraining your mind to respond calmly instead of letting emotions control you is one of the most transformative skills you can develop. Most people operate on autopilot, reacting to situations based on instinct, habit, or emotion rather than conscious thought. When something triggers anger, frustration, or anxiety, the mind tends to immediately jump into reaction mode. This reaction is often disproportionate to the actual event because it is fueled by accumulated stress, past experiences, and habitual thought patterns rather than rational evaluation. Retraining your mind begins with awareness of these automatic responses. You need to notice when and why you react, what thoughts accompany those reactions, and how your body responds physically and emotionally. Awareness alone is not enough, but it is the critical first step because you cannot change what you do not recognize. When you become aware of your impulses, you gain the opportunity to intervene, to pause before reacting, and to choose a more deliberate, calm response. One of the most effective ways to retrain your mind is through conscious thought replacement. Whenever a triggering event occurs, notice the initial emotional surge and actively replace destructive or impulsive thoughts with rational, constructive alternatives. For example, if someone interrupts you during a conversation, the immediate response may be irritation or resentment. Instead, you can remind yourself that the interruption is minor. The person likely did not intend harm, and responding calmly will maintain control and composure. This practice rewires your brain over time, strengthening neural pathways that favor calm, intentional responses rather than reactive ones. The more consistently you replace impulsive reactions with mindful, deliberate thought, the more natural calm responses become even in high-stress situations. Developing this skill also involves understanding the triggers that provoke emotional reactions. Often, reactions are less about the external event and more about internal interpretations, biases, or unresolved emotions. By identifying your personal triggers, you can prepare in advance for situations that typically provoke stress or anger. For instance, if deadlines tend to cause anxiety, you can develop a plan for time management, task prioritization, or stress relief techniques to reduce the automatic emotional response. recognizing that triggers exist outside your control, but that your reaction to them is entirely within your control empowers you to shift from being reactive to being intentional. This mindset is fundamental to emotional mastery and prevents small irritations from escalating into larger, unnecessary conflicts or emotional disturbances. Meditation and mindfulness practices are powerful tools for retraining the mind. Mindfulness teaches you to observe thoughts and emotions without judgment, creating a mental space between stimulus and response. When you cultivate this space, you gain the ability to choose your reactions consciously. Over time, mindfulness reduces the intensity and frequency of emotional hijacks, allowing calmness and reason to guide behavior. Meditation strengthens this effect by training the mind to focus, observe, and let go of distractions. Even a few minutes a day of meditation or mindful breathing can significantly enhance your capacity to respond calmly under pressure. The consistent practice reinforces neural patterns associated with patience, self-control, and measured response, gradually replacing habitual reactivity with intentional action. Another key aspect is reframing your perspective on challenges. Many emotional reactions arise from viewing events as personal attacks, threats, or failures. Retraining your mind involves consciously choosing to interpret situations in a neutral or constructive way. If a colleague criticizes your work, instead of taking it as an attack, you can view it as feedback or an opportunity to improve. This shift in perception reduces emotional intensity, enabling a calmer response. Reframing requires practice because the mind naturally defaults to emotionally charged interpretations, but each conscious effort strengthens your ability to respond with clarity rather than impulse. This approach also cultivates resilience as you learn to navigate difficulties without being swept away by negative emotions. Consistency is critical in retraining the mind. Initial attempts may feel awkward or forced, and old reactive patterns will resurface, especially in stressful or emotionally charged situations. Persistence is essential because neural pathways are strengthened through repetition. Every time you pause, assess, and respond calmly instead of reacting impulsively, you reinforce the new pattern. Over time, this deliberate effort becomes automatic and calm, controlled responses emerge naturally, even in challenging circumstances. The process requires patience and self-compassion because setbacks are inevitable, but each setback is also an opportunity to observe, learn, and improve your mental responses. Practical strategies also include creating mental cues or reminders to pause and reflect. Simple techniques like counting to 10 before responding, taking a deep breath, or repeating a calming phrase help interrupt the habitual emotional surge and allow space for deliberate thought. These techniques may seem small, but they are effective because they give your rational mind a chance to engage before emotions dictate your actions. By combining these small interventions with long-term mindfulness and reflection, you gradually cultivate a stable mental environment where calmness governs responses rather than impulsivity. The physical connection between mind and body should not be overlooked. Emotional reactions are often accompanied by physiological changes, accelerated heart rate, tense muscles, shallow breathing that reinforce mental agitation. By becoming aware of these physical signs and consciously regulating them through deep breathing, relaxation techniques, or brief movement, you can reduce the intensity of the emotional reaction. This physical regulation works hand in hand with mental retraining, creating a feedback loop where calm body states support calm mind states and vice versa. Another important element is managing expectations and accepting reality. Many emotional reactions stem from resistance to how things are or a desire for situations to conform to personal preferences. Retraining the mind involves cultivating acceptance, understanding that you cannot control everything, and focusing only on what is within your control, your thoughts, actions, and responses. This acceptance does not mean passivity or inaction. It means prioritizing your energy toward constructive efforts and not wasting it on futile attempts to control uncontrollable variables. The freedom that comes from this understanding significantly reduces the intensity of emotional responses and allows for more thoughtful, measured decision-making. Social environments also influence your ability to respond calmly. Surrounding yourself with people who model emotional regulation, constructive communication, and patience can reinforce your own practice. Conversely, constant exposure to negativity, drama, or reactive individuals can challenge your progress. Being selective about your social interactions and creating environments that support calm, intentional responses strengthens your mental retraining and reinforces the habits of composure and deliberate action. Ultimately, retraining your mind to respond calmly requires a combination of awareness, intentional thought replacement, mindfulness, perspective reframing, consistency, physical regulation, and environmental consideration. Each component works together to create a resilient mental state capable of handling stress, conflict, and everyday annoyances without succumbing to automatic emotional reactions. By committing to this practice, you gradually shift from being controlled by external stimuli to acting from a place of strength, clarity, and composure, enabling you to navigate life with greater focus, balance, and inner peace. Protecting your peace by setting boundaries and choosing where to invest your energy is one of the most important practices for maintaining mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. In a world that constantly demands attention, approval, and engagement, the failure to establish boundaries often leads to burnout, stress, and emotional exhaustion. Boundaries are not about shutting people out or avoiding responsibility. They are about consciously deciding what you will accept, tolerate, and engage with, and what you will not. By clearly defining your limits, you create a framework for interactions, work, and personal commitments that prioritizes your peace and aligns with your values. Without these boundaries, your energy is constantly siphoned away by demands, expectations, and disruptions that may have little to no significance in the broader scope of your life. Protecting your peace begins with recognizing that your time, attention, and emotional energy are finite resources. Once you internalize this truth, it becomes easier to evaluate opportunities, requests, and interactions based on whether they are worth the energy required. Every moment spent reacting to minor irritations, unnecessary drama, or toxic influences is a moment taken away from your goals, your growth, and your sense of inner calm. Setting boundaries requires a deep understanding of your own priorities and limits. It starts with self-awareness, knowing what situations, behaviors, and types of people drain you versus what energizes and uplifts you. Emotional, social, and professional boundaries all play a role in this process. For example, in personal relationships, you may need to communicate limits on how often you engage in conversations that are negative or critical. In professional contexts, boundaries might involve clearly defining working hours, refusing to take on tasks outside your capacity, or asserting your right to focus without interruptions. Many people struggle with this because of guilt, fear of judgment, or a misplaced sense of obligation. But the truth is that setting boundaries is not selfish. It is necessary for sustainable productivity, emotional stability, and authentic engagement with what truly matters. Choosing where to invest your energy is closely linked to boundaries, as it is impossible to protect your peace without directing your attention intentionally. Energy is a limited resource, and mismanagement can leave you feeling depleted, overwhelmed, or resentful. To make effective choices, you need to evaluate which activities, commitments, and interactions contribute positively to your goals, growth, and well-being. This may involve difficult decisions, such as saying no to people or projects that are draining, avoiding toxic environments, or stepping back from social media and other distractions that fragment your attention. Prioritizing energy investment ensures that your mental and emotional resources are reserved for situations and people that genuinely add value to your life, rather than being spent on trivial, unproductive, or harmful engagements. One practical approach to protecting your peace is creating clear rules for yourself and others regarding what you will accept and tolerate. This involves articulating boundaries explicitly, whether verbally, in writing, or through consistent behavior. For instance, you might decide that you will not engage in arguments over petty matters, or that you will only respond to work-related communications during designated hours. Consistency in enforcing boundaries is critical. Inconsistent enforcement sends mixed signals and undermines your efforts to maintain control over your energy. People will often test limits intentionally or unintentionally, and your response or lack thereof teaches them how far they can go. By being firm, clear, and consistent, you reinforce the value of your time and peace, making it less likely that others will encroach upon it. Protecting your peace also requires a willingness to let go of unnecessary attachments, expectations, and obligations. Much of the stress in modern life comes from the pressure to meet external demands, conform to social norms, or seek approval from others. While some responsibilities are unavoidable, many are optional and consume energy without adding meaningful value. Learning to distinguish between these is crucial for preserving mental and emotional balance. Letting go does not mean abandoning responsibilities entirely. It means consciously evaluating what is essential and what can be released without negative consequences. By doing so, you create mental and emotional space to focus on what matters most, cultivating calmness and resilience in the face of challenges. Another key element is developing assertiveness, the ability to communicate your boundaries and needs without aggression or guilt. Assertiveness empowers you to say no when necessary, express discomfort when limits are crossed, and request respect for your time and energy. Many people avoid assertiveness because they fear conflict, rejection, or judgment, but the absence of assertiveness leads to resentment, frustration, and depletion. Being assertive does not mean being confrontational. It means standing firm in your decisions, expressing them clearly, and maintaining respect for yourself and others. Assertiveness, combined with self-awareness and consistency, forms the foundation for effective boundary setting and energy management. Physical and environmental considerations also play a role in protecting peace. Your surroundings, routines, and daily habits influence the quality of your mental and emotional state. Creating a space that minimizes distractions, clutter, and negativity supports calmness and focus. This might involve organizing your workspace, limiting exposure to stressful media, or surrounding yourself with people who inspire and uplift you. Simple changes such as setting quiet times, designating areas for rest and reflection, or using physical cues to signal boundaries reinforce your intention to protect your energy and maintain peace. The environment is a subtle but powerful factor in supporting mental resilience and intentional living. Protecting your peace is also intertwined with emotional regulation. Boundaries are ineffective if your internal state is reactive, anxious, or easily influenced by external pressures. Developing self-regulation skills through mindfulness, meditation, breathing techniques, or reflection enhances your ability to maintain calm even when boundaries are challenged. Emotional regulation ensures that your responses align with your values and intentions rather than being dictated by impulses, stress, or external pressures. When combined with well-defined boundaries, emotional regulation creates a protective shield that preserves your energy, prevents unnecessary conflict, and allows you to navigate life with clarity and composure. Another important factor is selective engagement. Not every situation requires your input, attention, or effort. By discerning where and when to engage, you prevent energy from being wasted on trivial matters or drama that do not contribute to your goals or well-being. This principle extends to social interactions, work projects, and even internal dialogue. Choosing your engagements consciously means you are not reactive to every stimulus, demand, or emotional trigger, but instead act intentionally, investing energy only where it produces meaningful outcomes or aligns with your values. Over time, this practice cultivates a sense of calm, control, and fulfillment as your energy is aligned with purpose rather than scattered across distractions. Ultimately, protecting your peace by setting boundaries and choosing where to invest your energy is about reclaiming ownership of your life. It is a conscious commitment to safeguard your mental, emotional, and physical well-being, to prioritize what truly matters, and to refuse unnecessary stress, negativity, or intrusion. By defining limits, asserting needs, and directing energy intentionally, you create a life that is balanced, focused, and resilient, allowing you to navigate challenges, relationships, and responsibilities without being overwhelmed or drained